Do this once and watch your avoidance start chasing you. No games. This one action looks like you're walking away. It feels like giving up, like closing a door that might never open again. And that's exactly why it works. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but somehow ending up lonelier in the relationship, this is for you. Because the issue isn't that you're not loving enough. It's that you're loving in a way an avoidant nervous system literally cannot process. Most people trying to get closer to an avoidant are unknowingly doing the one thing that guarantees more distance. They explain more. They reassure more. They wait longer. They shrink themselves just enough to keep the connection alive. And the avoidant still pulls away. I watched this happen with a client last month. She spent 6 months being the perfect partner. Always available, always understanding, never demanding. And he kept her in this endless loop of maybe. When she finally stopped chasing and started living her own life, he showed up at her door within 2 weeks, suddenly ready to talk about the future he'd been avoiding for half a year. By the end of this video, you'll understand why chasing backfires and what single shift changes the entire dynamic without games or manipulation. Avoidants don't pull away because they don't care. They pull away because caring feels dangerous. At some point in their life, usually early on, they learn that needing someone led to disappointment, pressure, or emotional overwhelm. So they adapted. They became hyper-independent. They learned to regulate themselves through distance instead of connection. Here's what most people don't understand. Closeness doesn't calm avoidance. Control does. That's why they feel safest when they're the ones setting the pace. When they can come close on their terms and retreat whenever things feel too real. This creates the classic push-pull dynamic, where connection feels intense one moment and completely absent the next. Research from attachment theory shows that avoidants have a nervous system wired differently than yours. When you move closer, their stress response activates. When you give space, they feel calm. So every time you text first, explain your feelings, or wait around hoping they'll open up, you're accidentally triggering the part of them that wants to run. Think of it like trying to catch a cat that's hiding under the couch. The more you reach for it, the further back it goes. But sit down, ignore it, and start doing something interesting. Suddenly it's curious, coming out on its own terms. Avoidants work the same way. Here's where most people make the biggest mistake. When you feel an avoidant pull away, your instinct is to close the gap. You text more. You explain your feelings more clearly. You become more patient, more understanding, more available. You tell yourself that if you just show them how safe and loving you are, they'll finally relax and open up. This backfires every single time. To an avoidant nervous system, your increased effort doesn't feel like love. It feels like pressure. When you're always available, you remove all emotional risk for them. They don't have to choose you. They don't have to step forward. They don't have to face their fear of closeness because you're doing all the emotional work for the relationship. When something feels guaranteed, avoidants emotionally disengage. Predictability feels safe, but it also feels dull. Avoidants have a very specific relationship with value. When something feels constantly available, their emotional response stays muted. When something feels scarce, their awareness increases, and awareness is what creates emotion. This is a hidden truth about avoidant attachment that most advice completely misses. They're not cold or indifferent. They're wired to value what they might lose, not what they already have. So here's the shift that changes everything. Even though it looks like giving up, the move is simple, but it requires real self-control. You stop chasing and you start mirroring, not in a cold way, not to punish them or make them jealous, but to reveal the true temperature of the relationship when you're no longer compensating for their distance. You stop being the one who always reaches out first. You stop explaining your feelings repeatedly. You stop organizing your life around their availability. Instead, you match their level of effort. If they take hours to reply, you take hours too. If they make last-minute plans, you start having plans of your own. If they go quiet, you don't rush in to fix the silence. You allow the space to exist. Critical point. You're not doing this to manipulate them. You're showing them what the relationship actually looks like when both people invest equally. When the safety net disappears, their brain starts asking new questions. Why aren't they always there anymore? Are they losing interest? Could I actually lose them? This does not mean disappearing overnight or acting emotionally unavailable. It's a gradual shift. If they usually take 3 hours to respond, you don't suddenly wait 3 days. You simply stop overgiving. Stop compensating for their distance. And you never announce what you're doing. You don't say, I'm giving you space, or I'm matching your energy. That turns it into a power play and kills the effect immediately. This only works when it's quiet, consistent, and rooted in genuine self-focus, not strategy. Things you absolutely cannot do. Don't do this with anger or resentment. Don't do it while secretly hoping they'll panic and chase you. This only works if you're authentically redirecting your energy back to your own life. That's the real work. Make plans with friends. Spend time on your goals. Invest energy in things that make you feel grounded. When they text while you're busy, don't drop everything. Not as a tactic, but because you actually have a life. Avoidants are extremely sensitive to desperation. You cannot fake this. If you're constantly checking your phone and counting hours, they'll feel it. You have to be genuinely okay with the possibility they might not step up. That's the hardest part. What happens next? At first, many avoidants feel relief. Finally, there's space. Finally, there's no pressure. Finally, they can breathe. But that relief doesn't last. Within days or weeks, something shifts. They notice you're not checking in. You're not waiting. You're not adjusting your schedule around them. That's when their attachment system finally wakes up. The first sign this is working is confusion. They send random texts, memes, casual questions, not deep conversations, just pings. They're testing if you're still emotionally available. When you respond calmly without rushing or overinvesting, the dynamic shifts. Instead of fearing closeness, they start fearing loss. Some avoidants pull back even harder at first. This is not failure. It's resistance. They feel the shift and want to regain control. Stay consistent. The moment you chase again, the old pattern returns. The timeline. Shorter relationships may show changes in 2 to 3 weeks. Longer ones can take a month or more. Stay steady. Don't look for big gestures. Avoidants rarely move dramatically. Instead, watch for small but meaningful changes. They start initiating more. They ask personal questions. They become curious about what you're doing. Some show mild jealousy when they realize you're not always available. Strong signs. They make more effort to see you in person. They become more emotionally present during time together. Scarcity makes them realize what they've been taking for granted. This isn't magic that turns every avoidant into the perfect partner. What it does is reveal who they really are when they can't take you for granted. Some avoidants will step up. They'll communicate more consistently. They'll make real plans. They'll talk about the relationship instead of avoiding it. Others will show effort briefly, just enough to pull you back in, then retreat once they feel safe. And some will walk away completely. That outcome matters. If someone only shows effort when they fear losing you, but disappears once they feel secure again, that's not real change. Real change looks like consistency. It looks like choosing you even when there's no pressure. It looks like showing up without needing fear as motivation. The real power of this shift isn't that it makes avoidance chase you. It's that it restores your self-respect. You stop shrinking yourself to fit someone else's emotional limits. You stop living in uncertainty. You stop auditioning for basic effort. This approach should never become a permanent way of relating. It's a reset, a way to see if they can meet you halfway. You cannot love someone into emotional availability. You cannot be patient enough, understanding enough, or perfect enough to heal their attachment wounds. But you can create a dynamic where both people invest equally. You deserve someone who doesn't need to almost lose you to realize your value. Someone who shows up clearly and consistently, not only when fear forces them to. If you try this and they still don't step up, that's your answer. Step back permanently. Your time is finite. Your emotional energy is precious. Don't waste it on someone who only values you when there's risk involved. Find someone who chooses you even when you're fully available. Someone who doesn't need distance to feel safe. Someone who meets you where you are. If this resonated with you, hit like and subscribe for more honest conversations about relationships, attachment, and psychology. Drop a comment and share your experience. Have you ever tried pulling back from an avoidant? What happened? Remember, love should not require constant strategy to survive. You deserve clarity, consistency, and someone who chooses you without hesitation. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.